Thank you, Congresswoman Gabbard. And so my question is regarding poverty, and despite our nation's best efforts to create an effective welfare system and safety net, poverty has risen over the last 50 years and is now above 14%. A universal basic income has earned support from the likes of Martin Luther King Jr. to Milton Friedman and Noam Chomsky, and was actually almost enacted in the 1970s. Would you support a universal basic income for all citizens to guarantee that we can all afford our basic needs? And if not, what was your alternative plan?
Thank you very much for that question. How many folks here have heard of a universal basic income? All right, about a third of the people here. There are universal basic income, and Ryan, you wanna stand up and say a word about it, or I can give a brief summary. I'm sorry, was your name Tyler?
Oh,
I apologize.
Tyler Joel.
Tyler.
Sorry.
So the idea has been around actually since the 1700s, but it's the idea that one of the most effective ways to fight poverty is through the distribution of cash. It empowers people and it lets the poor make the decisions for themselves. It's gaining a lot of movement around the world, and so the idea is to take income to redistribute income from the top earners of society, and then everyone pays into this, and then every person receives a guaranteed basic income on a monthly basis. So all citizens would get the payment, and it's a lot of people consider it a more effective way to redistribute money and to create a more equitable society.
Yeah, thank you, Tyler. I appreciate that. There's a few different versions, and this is something that I'm looking at and studying, Tyler. I don't have a position on it yet. There are a few countries in Europe specifically who are enacting some pilot programs of this in one form or another. And basically it would, there are a few different plans that exist, but it would essentially provide for this basic income, this check that would be delivered to people, cash, instead of a whole variety of the other social programs that exist. So whether it is a Section 8 housing or a welfare check or food stamps. I mean, think about all of the other social programs that the federal government provides. This universal basic income would supplant those. It would be instead of those, so that someone, as Tyler said, would be empowered to make their own decisions about where they live or what kind of food they eat and what they do with this money, and with the goal being empowering people to be able to get out of poverty. I'm very interested in this, and I've actually spoken with some Republicans who are interested in this, and this is something that is gaining more interest. I'm interested to see how some of these places who are doing this already as a pilot project, how it's going. There's also an interesting project that's happening in Silicon Valley where they're kind of creating their own microcosm and testing a few different theories. The foremost of which, this is one of the opposing arguments, which is if you just hand people a check, they're not going to be motivated to work. That it's going to make people become more lazy and remain in poverty and more reliant, rather than empowering them to get out of poverty and become more successful in their lives. So my jury's out on this one. I'm still studying it to see what the impacts, both opportunities, pros and cons, will be. So let's check back in on this one. Thanks.